Okay, y'all were saying that you like the vintage. I got some fall vintage DIYs coming up that I think you're really going to enjoy. So if you want to know how to make them, stick around. I hope you do. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, for this first one, we're going to start with a 24 gauge wire, a roll of wire, and you're going to start with a paper towel roll, and you're going to just go ahead and pull your wire out, and you're going to have a little tail of about 2 inches, and then you're just going to start wrapping this around the paper towel roll 22 times. And just try to stay on the paper towel. If you have to move your wire a little bit up, you can. But just don't overlap them. And go ahead and cut it off with about 5 inches hanging over. And then go ahead and start gathering all these up together. And then we're going to take the smaller wire and wrap it around them. And wrap it around several times. And then repeat this process one more time. And then you're going to do 22 loops on this one as well. And you could probably use a toilet paper roll too, but the paper towel holder is a little bit thicker, or you could use anything that's just round. And then when you get to the end, go ahead and cut off where you have 5 inches left over at the top. And then go ahead and do the same thing. Go ahead and tie that off. And then just leave a little bit of wire, and then you're going to join the two together. And then go ahead and pick one of your big wires and run it through about 2 times as well. And then go ahead and run your long wires, pull them up to the top. And then go ahead and open this up. Just bring it all the way around until it meets the other side. Just kind of play with it a little bit till you get it completely open. And then we're going to take a pencil, or you could take a dowel stick and then just curl the 2 wires that are on top. And then go ahead and stretch them open a little bit. And then do the same thing for the second side, and you're going to pull it to the opposite side. And you want to use something that's kind of small like this, or even a 1/4 inch dowel stick. But you want it to kind of be small. And then go ahead and start shaping your pumpkin until you get it completely all the way around. And that's how that one turned out. And then I also made one out of copper wire. These would be great for place settings to put a name tag on, or just to give as a gift, or any kind of decor. I made several of the silver ones, and I'm going to take these outside and I'm going to spray paint them with a flat brown paint. Not the copper one, but just the silver ones. To add the finishing touch, I'm going to take some espresso metallic paint, and I'm just going to take a chip brush and I'm just going to kind of lightly brush over these. And then I'm going to come back in with a champagne gold and finish them off. Just lightly just go over them. You don't want to cover up all the brown completely. I'm going to come in with my champagne gold, and I'm just going to lightly go over those again. And I'm going to go in areas, not completely where I just did, kind of other areas, but just lightly get it over there because you want the two, the combination of the two to show through. And that's how that looks. Look how pretty that is. And then I'm going to take these green leaves that I have, and I'm going to paint those with the same gold. And then I'm going to go back over them with the espresso. So I have the gold undertone with the espresso on top. I'm going to cut the stem short and glue these to my pumpkins. Pretty easy. This one turned out so pretty. It does have a vintage vibe to it. Let me know what you think in the comments. This would be cute on a tiered tray. It would also be cute as a place setting with a name tag at a dinner. For this next one, I'm going to take a pool noodle I got at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut it at 1.5 inches in length. And you could use any pool noodle that you want to, but I'm just cutting mine at 1.5 inch lengths. And I actually did quite a few of these. For these, I'm just going to go ahead and take this bundle that I got from Amazon. These are 2.5 inch wide strips of fabric. You could just cut fabric if you want, but it came with quite a variety of different colors and patterns. And I'm going to start with this one checkered one, and I'm just going to cut this right down the center. And they come frayed on both sides, and so I am going to take some of the strings out to kind of give it a nice frayed edge on both sides. Just kind of pull your strings out and then just go ahead and you might want to cut some of them off, but just get several of them pulled off. To attach my fabric, I'm just going to put a little glue inside the noodle and I'm just going to go ahead and put one end right inside of there. And then I got this little hair weaving tool on Amazon. I'll give you the link for it in the description below. But it really works good to kind of just easily pull these through. You just loop it onto your fabric and then you can just start looping it through. And this is very similar to the pumpkins I did with the yarn, but instead using fabric. And you're just going to make sure that you go over halfway and then go ahead and run it up in there and pull the other one that comes over the top halfway as well. So you want to cover up the one you just did by the half of it. And then just keep going around until you have it completely covered. Just kind of make sure that you do get your fabric straightened out. And these go together so quickly. If you set up at a craft fair, I definitely think I would make a bunch of these up for craft fairs. Because these are so budget friendly. And then once you get to the end, then we're going to go ahead and glue it off. And we're going to glue right into the center, so you will have to trim a little bit. And then we're going to add the next strip. Okay, so just trim that off a little bit, just enough to go inside that hole, and then glue that in. You just want to make sure that you got it glued in where you can put your finger all the way through that hole. And then you're going to start your next piece right behind that one. And make sure that that hole is open because we are going to add a stem and you're going to need to make sure it goes all the way through. And then go ahead and wrap that. You're only going to wrap that one about 2 times, so you do get a lot out of that one strip. And then go ahead and trim that off in the back and then glue that in as well. Okay, we're going to go ahead and add our stem. And I got these stems on Amazon. I'm just putting a little glue in the center and I'm pushing it all the way till it goes to the bottom. The vintage look, I'm taking some of the Holtz Walnut stain. And I'm just going to go ahead and take my little dauber and go all the way around the edges and down the sides and the bottom. This is just going to give it a little aged look to it. And then I'm adding a little stem too. It was a little bit green, so I did take that Holtz ink and rub it onto there as well. And then I'm just bending that over and I'm just going to stick it right in there. And I'll glue that in a little bit. And then I'm going to take a cupcake holder because I'm making pumpkin cupcakes. And I'm just going to put it right into the bottom. And I'm going to distress the sides of the cupcake holder too, like it's been baked. I'm going to add a tag that measures 2.5 by 1.5, and I'm just going to punch a hole into one end of it, and then I'm going to stamp this with pumpkin muffin. Now I have these little stamps I got at Michael's. They pop apart and then you can pop them together, and I went ahead and spelled out pumpkin muffin, and I put a rubber band around them just to hold them in place because they do tend to move if you have a lot of them together. And then I'm just using black ink to stamp them, and I'm just going to stamp pumpkin muffin. And you get these at Michael's. They are a great tool to have because you can spell so many different things with these. And then I'm going to go ahead and distress it with that same walnut stain as well. This is just a nice vintage piece. This would be great on a tiered tray. And then I'm just going to take some jute twine and I'm just going to attach it to it. And I'm going to tie it around the stem of my pumpkin. And then I'm going to add a little bit of green moss to the top to kind of finish it off. And I got that moss at Michael's. I'll give you the link for that. Just kind of put it right around the edge and I'm just going to glue that right on. And that was pretty much it. It was pretty simple. Okay, that was pretty simple. Look how cute that turned out. If you're setting up at a craft fair, I would go ahead and put these in a box. These are 4x4x4 little plastic boxes. You can get them on Amazon. They end up costing about 50 cents a piece, but they really do dress up your product. And then I'm just going to tie a jute string around the top part of it, tie it in a little bow, and then that's it. Just add that cost to the price of your product, but it really does help your product stand out. I love the way that these turned out. I really love the vintage look. Let me know if you do vintage or traditional or neutral. Leave a comment in the description below. I'd love to hear from you. For this third one, I'm using some pillow ticking fabric, and I cut mine at 24 3/4 inches by 12 1/2 inches. And then I changed my mind on it as I was doing the pattern, and I cut 6 inches off. So go ahead and cut it at 18 3/4. Then go ahead and fold it over with the facing sides together and go ahead and glue down both sides. And you could sew this if you'd like to. This just was an easy project for just gluing. And then go ahead and flip it over and glue the opposite side as well. Next, we're going to go ahead and box the bottom. So go ahead and reach in and pull your bottom open 3 inches with the two pointy parts of the bottom right in the center. And just fold them inward. Just right in the center. Just make sure that those corners meet right in the center. And that is 3 inches wide. And then we're just going to glue those in. And then do the same thing with the opposite side. And then let that dry real well, and then we're going to turn it right side out, and we're going to glue the bottom as well. And you could sew this also. And then just go ahead and straighten that out, and you should have a box bottom on that. Now your corners at the very bottom, you're going to go ahead and glue those flat on both sides. Then I'm going to go ahead and crease my lines on both sides so that box is permanently opened up like that. I figured out I had too much fabric, so I went ahead and cut 3 inches off. I cut 2 inches and then I cut 1 inch. So I'll show you here in a second. It was a total of 3 inches. So go ahead on that 24 3/4 of an inch, cut it down to 18 3/4. Then go ahead and turn your bag right back up inside out. And then we're going to glue up the top on both sides, leaving 4 inches in the center. And then go ahead and turn it right side out. To add some weight, I'm just going to take some little washers that I have, or some large washers that I have, and I'm just going to glue those right down in the bottom. Now you could just put a sock with some rice in here if you'd rather. It'll work just about the same way. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stuff this bag as full as I can get it. And just make sure that you are pushing it into the sides and into the bottom corners as well. But you do want to make sure that you do get it very full. Okay, we're going to add a stem to the center, just kind of figure out where it is, and you're just going to stitch up to that point on both sides, and then we're going to glue our stem in. And it's easier if you just go ahead and pin it. Okay, so just go ahead and stitch to where the stem starts, and then we're going to tie that off in a knot, and we're just going to run our thread over to the other side. So go ahead and tie that off right there, and then we're going to run our thread over to the other side, and then we're going to go ahead and glue in our stem. And we're just going to glue it to the front and the back of the fabric. And then go ahead and finish stitching up on the opposite side. And then I'm going to go ahead and distress it with that same Tim Holtz walnut stain. I'm just going to go all the way around the edges, a little bit darker, and then I'm going to go through the center of it as well, but not quite as dark. This will give it more like of an aged look to it. But around the edges and the bottom and the side, you do want to get it pretty dark. And then I'm going to start brushing through the center of it a little bit lighter. And then I'm going to do the back as well. And this is the Tim Holtz Distressing ink. You can get it at Hobby Lobby, you can get it at Michael's, but just about everywhere, everybody has it. Create a face for the pumpkin. I'm just going to cut out 2 eyes, and I'm just cutting all this out of felt. And I'm just going to cut 2 circles. They don't have to be perfect. Actually, you don't want them to be perfect. But they ended up being about 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to cut out a black felt, a little pupil for it. Nose, I'm just going to cut out a long triangle out of brown felt. And then for the mouth, I'm going to use rickrack. Okay, next I'm just going to go ahead and glue his face on. And I'm just putting a little glue in the middle on his nose because I'm going to sew around it. And then just kind of find your center part on your rickrack, start there, and then go ahead and glue it on. And I did mine with a little smile. You can do yours straight across if you want to, or you can give him a big smile. Just glue right in the very center of the eye because we are going to sew around these as well. I'm using embroidery floss in brown just to go around the eyes. Now you don't want to do this perfect, just kind of stitch around, and it could be random. And then you want to do the same thing with the other eye, but you want to do it a little bit different as well. Just don't be perfect on this because it's not supposed to be. Then I'm going to go ahead and stitch around my other eye. Now I'm only using 4 of the embroidery floss on my needle. So you want to go ahead and take it apart so it's not so thick and just take a few strands off. And go ahead and sew your nose on the same way. Okay, then distress the eyes. I'm going to come back in with that same walnut stain, and I'm going to go around the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So up the top, I'm just going to take a little maple leaf, and I'm going to attach it right up at the top, right close to the stem. And then I'm going to tie a little ribbon right around the top part. This is just that same fabric that I used on the pumpkins. And I'm just going to tie it right around the stem and tie it in a bow. To make the tag for the top, I'm taking 2 pieces of fabric that are exactly the same size, and I went ahead and cut those with some pinking shears around the edge, and I'm just going to stamp the word fall on these. And then I'm going to glue the 2 pieces together, and I'm going to tie it onto the top part of the pumpkin. So just go ahead and glue them together all the way around. This will give it a little bit thicker of a little tag. And then I'm going to distress it with that same walnut stain all around it as well. And then I'm going to take an X-Acto knife, poke a hole in it, and I'm going to attach some jute to it to attach it to the pumpkin. And then I'm just going to tie it onto the stem right up underneath my little bow. This was a pretty easy one as well. All right, look how cute that is. Okay, I think he turned out super cute. I think he would fit in just about any kind of decor for the fall, whether you do traditional or vintage. I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope it gave you some inspiration. If you like these kind of videos, be sure and give me a like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when I have a new video upload. Thank y'all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if nobody's told you today, you're awesome.